Ever wonder how often geometry graces your everyday life? It's a question that might seem a tad abstract at first, yet the answer is as concrete as the world around us. Indeed, geometry is the silent architect, diligently crafting the blueprint of our universe one shape at a time. Take a moment to consider the spaces we inhabit. The towering skyscrapers, the sprawling city streets, the cozy confines of our homes, all are testament to the power of geometry. From the symmetry of a building's facade to the calculated layout of a city's grid, geometry's influence is undeniable. It's not just about function though, geometry also lends itself to the aesthetic appeal of our surroundings. Speaking of aesthetics, have you ever marveled at the beauty of a snowflake under a microscope? Or the intricate patterns on a flower petal? That's geometry in action too. The symmetrical patterns and structures found in nature are a testament to the universal language of shapes and proportions. Each snowflake, each petal, is a mini masterpiece of geometry, a testament to the artistry of the natural world. The beauty of geometric patterns extends beyond their visual appeal. They create a sense of order, balance, and harmony that resonates with us on a subconscious level. When we look at a beehive's hexagonal cells or the spiral of a nautilus shell, we're not just seeing nature at work. We're witnessing the grand symphony of symmetry, a dance of shapes and lines that's been choreographed over millions of years. So the next time you catch a snowflake, or admire a flower, or simply walk down a city street, take a moment to appreciate the geometry at play. From the grandest skyscrapers to the tiniest snowflakes, geometry is all around us, silently shaping our world, one line, one shape, one space at a time. Indeed, geometry, particularly symmetry, is a silent yet omnipresent composer of our world. Have you heard of the golden ratio? It's more common than you might think. This intriguing mathematical concept is often represented by the Greek letter phi, and it's just about everywhere around us. Its magic lies in the unique proportion it represents, approximately 1 to 1.618. This ratio is not just a mathematical curiosity, it's a mathematical standard of beauty, balance, and harmony. You can find the golden ratio in the architectural masterpiece, the Parthenon, where its principles were used to determine the building's proportions. It's the invisible hand guiding the swirling pattern of sunflower seeds, the very blueprint of their growth. This ratio pops up in the most unexpected places, in art, in nature, even in our own bodies. The golden ratio has been a source of fascination, not only for mathematicians and scientists, but artists and architects too. It's the invisible thread weaving together the universe. So the golden ratio, an invisible hand, guides aesthetics and structure in unexpected places. Geometry carries a spiritual and cultural significance too, known as sacred geometry. This is not simply the study of shapes and patterns, but a journey into the heart of our shared cultural and spiritual heritage. Sacred geometry is the belief that certain geometric shapes hold a symbolic, sacred, or spiritual significance. Throughout history, these patterns have been used in the design and construction of religious structures such as churches, temples, mosques, religious monuments, altars, and religious art. Take the ancient Egyptians, for example. They believed that the geometry of the pyramids mirrored the geometry of the earth and the cosmos. The Greeks were fascinated by the perfect forms of the circle and the triangle, and used them to build their magnificent temples. These geometric patterns were considered sacred, representing fundamental aspects of existence and the universe. But let's leap forward to a more modern concept, fractal geometry. Unlike the straight lines and perfect curves of Euclidean geometry, fractal geometry is all about irregular, fragmented, and broken shapes that echo the complexity of the natural world. The beauty of fractal geometry lies in its self-replicating patterns. The same pattern repeats over and over on different scales, creating intricate and fascinating shapes. You can see these patterns everywhere in nature. The spirals of a seashell, the branching of trees, the veins of a leaf, even in the formation of galaxies. They all follow the rules of fractal geometry. In art, fractal geometry has inspired a whole new genre of digital art, where artists use computers to create stunningly beautiful and infinitely complex patterns. So from the sacred shapes of ancient civilizations to the intricate patterns of fractal geometry, we can see how deeply geometry is woven into the fabric of our world. It's not just about measuring angles or calculating areas. It's about understanding the patterns that make up our world, our universe, and even our own spiritual beliefs. Geometry, thus, not only shapes our physical world but also echoes in our spiritual beliefs and natural phenomena. As we continue our journey, let's dive deeper into the fascinating world of geometry and its applications in art, music, and puzzles. Now, let's tune into the role of geometry in art, music, and puzzles. Art and geometry have a long-standing relationship. From the intricate Islamic patterns that are a testament to the beauty of mathematical precision, to the bold, abstract works of modern artists, geometry plays a pivotal role. It's a silent language that artists use to communicate balance, harmony, and proportion. Take a moment and think of Piet Mondrian. His works are a prime example of how simple, geometric shapes can create a visual symphony. Speaking of symphonies, let's pivot to music. You may not see it, but geometry is the secret maestro behind every melody, harmony, and rhythm. How, you ask? Well, when you pluck a guitar string, for instance, it vibrates at specific frequencies, creating what we perceive as notes. These frequencies have a geometric relationship. The octave, the fifth, the fourth, they're all tied together by simple mathematical ratios. This is why when you listen to music, you're actually experiencing a mathematical concept in an auditory form. Now let's turn the page to puzzles. Geometric puzzles have been tickling the minds of enthusiasts for centuries, providing both amusement and a mental workout. Take the Rubik's Cube, for instance. It's a three-dimensional puzzle with a geometric heart. Or consider the tangram, a Chinese dissection puzzle consisting of 7 flat shapes. It's a simple concept, but the number of shapes you can create is mind-boggling. These puzzles not only challenge our spatial reasoning but also invite us to explore geometry in a hands-on, playful way. Whether it's a painting, a symphony, or a puzzle, geometry is at the heart of the creative process. Scene script. Let's go back to basics now. What are some fundamental geometric shapes and their properties? Geometry, at its heart, is the study of shapes and space. It's an ancient branch of mathematics, dating back to at least the time of the ancient Egyptians, and it's been capturing human curiosity ever since. Among the simplest of shapes, we have points, lines, and planes. A point represents a location. A line is a straight one-dimensional figure that extends infinitely in both directions, and a plane is a flat two-dimensional surface that extends infinitely in all directions. Then we have our polygons, which are closed figures with straight sides. Triangles, quadrilaterals, pentagons, and hexagons, to name a few. Each of these has its own set of properties and rules. Take, for example, a triangle. A triangle has 3 sides, 3 angles, and the sum of its interior angles is always 180 degrees. This simple shape is the building block for many other geometric figures, and it's also home to one of the most famous theorems in mathematics, the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem, named after the ancient Greek mathematician Pythagoras, states that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the length of the hypotenuse, that's the longest side, is equal to the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other 2 sides. This theorem has been proven time and time again, and it's a cornerstone of geometry. There are countless other theorems, proofs, and properties in geometry, each one a fascinating puzzle piece that helps us understand the world around us. In essence, geometry is the fundamental language of the universe, underpinning everything we see and experience. From the patterns in a snowflake to the layout of a city, from the structure of a molecule to the orbits of the planets, geometry is everywhere. It's an integral part of our world, a mathematical poetry that describes the shape, size, and position of all things. So, how often do you notice geometry now? We've embarked on quite a journey today, haven't we? From the captivating symmetry in the natural world, the mesmerizing golden ratio in art and nature, to the sacred and fractal geometry, we've seen how these patterns weave their way through our universe. We have delved into the contrast between Euclidean and non-Euclidean geometries, and how each offers a unique perspective on the world around us. We've seen the role of geometry in the creation of beautiful art, design, and even music. Who knew that harmonic ratios could be so melodious? We've puzzled over geometric conundrums, and explored the fundamental shapes and their properties. It all ties back to those classic geometric proofs and theorems we learned in school, doesn't it? So, next time you're out and about, take a moment to appreciate the geometry that surrounds you. Remember, geometry is not just a subject, it's a lens through which to view and appreciate the world.